Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. It's very exciting for me because this is my first TED Talk, and hopefully you will actually enjoy and I will be able to share my story with you. So today I'm going to talk about the borders and boundaries. That how do we create borders and boundaries against humanity, and how do we actually reinforce the borders that are already existing against humanity. And my story begins when I think about the people who have to leave their home, have to leave their country, their family, the beloved ones. Well, I have some reasons to actually ask these questions to myself, because I live in a border city in Turkey, in the southern east part of Turkey, right at the Syrian border. And the city that I live, it's hosting more than 500,000 refugees. And as a professional, I work in a humanitarian field. So every day I also deal with this issue. And another reason that also my postgraduate I'm doing, it's on the conflict management. So today I'm gonna share my story with you, that how actually borders and boundaries it's created against refugees, and then how do we actually see this? And speaking about refugees, let's look at what actually makes a refugee. What makes a refugee? How many of you know that what makes a refugee? And let's look at it. Race, religion, ethnic national background, political opinion you hold, and social group. Well, these are the 5 persecution that qualifies you as a refugee. But of course, there are exceptional cases when United Nations and some of the member states sees and consider a whole group of people as a refugee. Examples, we have 2 examples, for instance, in recent days, are Syrian refugees and African refugees. Well, you can just search on the internet with your smartphone and find these 5 persecution, what makes a refugee. But not now, later on, after my speech. But let's look at, I want to share with you how actually a refugee describes being a refugee. Let's look at 2 examples. Ahmed Shihabi, 28 years old, Palestinian Syrian. Palestinian Syrian. He fled to Germany, and he lives in Germany now. Let's listen what he says about being a refugee. He says, every step I took, I was feeling that I was losing one of my memories about this country. Every step I took, I was feeling, and I felt that I was failing my friends, my beloved ones, my country, my home, everything that I have at Yarmouk. Let's look at another one. Madeleine Albright. Yeah, I didn't know also. She was apparently a refugee. First female U.S. Secretary of State. Country of origin? Former Czechoslovakia. Today's Czech Republic. Well, interesting enough. She says, when my father had been in Czechoslovakian diplomatic service, and I was a little refugee girl living in England during the World War II. And living in England until I came back to my home, to Blitz. And I had a fairly glorious life as a daughter of an ambassador. Can you imagine? You're a refugee, and then you back to your home, and then you live as a daughter of an ambassador. How glorious life. What a nice life to have it. And then she says, then all of a sudden, due to another political change, another reason that it's not under your control, it's beyond your control. She says, for another political change, then we went back to US without nothing. So, being a refugee, come back to your hometown and have a glorious life, but then you become again a refugee. Well, what does these two examples tells you? So think about it. These two examples are, I tell you, that these people are not down and out. They're not destitute people like you and me, like other people. They are just impacted by the circumstances that beyond our control. Something that we were not expecting, but something that happened. And it could happen to any one of us, anytime, any day, when you actually forget about it. Well, may I ask you please just to close your eyes for only 30 seconds. For only 30 seconds. Trust me, there will be nothing bad, but just wanted to, observe this part as your eyes close. So let's start, please. Thanks. Hey, stand on end, right? Scaring. Well, the reason I wanted to listen to this one, so we saw what makes a refugee, and then how refugee describes being a refugee. But let's empathize for a moment that after this event here, you wanted to go back to your home, but you can't. Well, think about anything. Earthquake, any other natural disaster, clashes between the government and, some other groups, or anything. Airstrikes, airports are shut down, bus stations are not working. It's not safe to drive to home. And it's not safe anymore to go to your home. Or maybe your home will be destroyed in an airstrike or earthquake or something else, but you will not have your home again. And then what? You start living your country or home first, and then go to another safe place. And if that place is not safe enough, then you will probably want to leave your country. You will seek asylum. You become a refugee maybe. You will resettle maybe in another country. But it can happen. It can happen to any one of us. So don't think about that this is something is happening a part of the world. It could happen to any one of us. Well, now we said, okay, well, you can't go to your home, and now you're seeking for the asylum, and you become a refugee, or you have to go somewhere else. Well, don't worry. You're not alone. There are over 65 million people forcibly displaced worldwide. There are over 20 million refugees worldwide. Over 20 million. There are over 10 million people who are stateless. But if you're lucky enough, maybe you will be one of these over 100,000 refugees and resettled in another country. This number, it's only 100,000 in 2015. Well, let's continue. And I continue to ask this question to myself: does humanity have borders? Because apparently we have many different borders. We have physical borders, we have economic, social, cultural, political, you name it, more and more. But does humanity have a borders? And every time I ask this question to myself, the answer is no. But interesting enough about the answer that I find is I see different from what others sees. So the answer is no, it's the same area always, but everyone sees different. Let's take a look how. Well, we said you're a refugee now, or you're, seeking asylum. This picture was taken in the capital city of Catalonia, individual region in Spain. And these people are doing demonstration, they protest their own government. And on the banner it says, enough excuses, now welcome, now welcome. These people are basically not sitting in the back and wait for others to do something, but they do something. They go on the streets, they protest their own governments, the decision makers, politicians, and they want them to accept and welcome more refugees because they know and they understand and they have awareness. They feel responsible. They think that this is a mental responsibility. This is a first reason and one of the reasons to be humanity for human being. Every human being deserves to live and live with dignity. Well, if you're lucky enough and go to this country, maybe you will be welcome. Oops, someone don't want you to come to their country. No refugees welcome. Well, this is not a simple graffiti painted on the wall or someone just bored and did something. This is actually, it's hurting. Imagine the country that you seek asylum and you enter the country and right at the beginning, you're walking on the streets that the language that you don't know, the signs that you don't understand, and then suddenly assume that you actually know these 3 words. There's only 3 words. No refugees welcome. But what does it tell you? They don't care who you are. See, does say anything? Does say any particular say that what no refugees welcome from this country or no refugees belong to this religion not welcome to this country or this political opinion or membership of any social group? No, they completely don't want you to come. They are against refugees to come to their country. Well, do they have the right? Of course, if they want to. They don't want you. And let's look at this picture. I'm sure most of you have seen this picture, and this picture was taken at the border of the Hungary, and where there was one of the biggest refugee influx were happening in the last year. The woman carrying the camera, maybe you don't see from here, she's a journalist. The only reason that she was there, she was supposed to film what was happening there, to do her job. But what made her to tackle a refugee man to fallen down with his little daughter? What made her? So I'm asking the same questions. Does humanity have borders? The answer was no, right? Exactly. Have no borders. But have no limit also. So you can be a person who tackle the refugee that have nothing to do with you, but you can just do it. Well, let's take a look at another one. And I'm sure also you've seen this picture as well. This picture, look at the picture. I wanted you to focus on the face, 2 faces, the face of the policeman and the face of the little daughter. And the hands. Look at the hands. Policeman, he's not hesitating to touch the little daughter, the little girl hands. He's not thinking that, oh, maybe she didn't take a shower for maybe weeks and she smells, well, her hands are dirty, maybe there will be something. Oh no, he's not thinking about it because he thinks that he is a human being and this little girl needs to be cheered up. And he's doing it. Look at the face. Look at the happiness, the level of happiness that she's having. Well, maybe some of you or some of the people will say, well, the cameras were there and he wanted to make his country look good. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares that that was the reason? Look at the picture. Look at the face of this little girl. How happy she is. She is having a hope. She has hope that, well, she had to leave her country, beloved ones. Maybe she lost her father or mother and entire family. But she knows now that the country that she's going to, or the destiny that she's going to have, is not as bad as in the past. So she is having a hope. She's happy. Well, interesting pictures. And then, well, don't want you to bother with the many figures, and I'm not here to give you the statistics, but wanted to just share with you the the numbers. Germany, accepted 1.2 million asylum seekers in the 2015 and 2016, and the official says that most of them were, the Syrian, Afghani, and Iraqi refugees. Turkey, the country that I come from, I'm not here to do the, make my country look good, but my country, Turkey, is hosting nearly 3 million refugees, and most of them are Syrian refugees. Jordan, Iraq, Turkey, Lebanon, Egypt. These are the 5 countries that are hosting 95% of the Syrian refugees. 95%, only 5 countries. And, only 5% of Syrian refugees are hosted in the rest of the world. 5 countries is hosting the 95%, and the rest of the world is hosting 5%. How is this possible? It's possible. Well, then what's the solutions? What's the solutions? No borders. No borders in your mind, and no borders in your heart. Just think about it, that this could happen to any one of us. Share and help. Share the burden. Don't leave, don't wait until the 5 countries to take the responsibility or other to take the responsibility. And don't think that this is a favor. This is for a reason, the human being. And now you're not refugee. We know that you can run away and you can live in a safe. Okay? Well, lastly, I know my minutes are finished, but just another minute I will ask you. So I wanted to share with you a piece of the poem from Warsan Shira, a British Somalian poet. And it's actually the long one, but I wanted to, because we don't have much time, so I wanted to share one piece. She says, "No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. Well, you only leave home when home won't let you stay. No one leaves home until home is a sweetie voice in your ear and saying, leave, run away from me now. Run away from me now. I don't know what I've become, but I know that everywhere, anywhere is safer than here." Well, we got our answer. We got our question and answer. Does humanity have borders? The answer was no. And we saw the examples, we saw the figures, and we saw how that actually could happen to any one of us. But my question, my last question, where do you stand? Where do you stand of these questions that humanity does not have borders? It's not in our hand to become a refugee or to leave our home and a country and beloved ones, but it is in our hand, and it is our responsibility, and that's something that we can do it. Choose where you want to stand, and don't create more borders and boundaries against humanity. Thank you very much.